It is June 26th. I'm Caitlin Heck here with meteorologist Alex Forbes. Yes, the storms did pack quite the punch last night.
They did. A sleep-deprived meteorologist Alex Forbes this morning because I didn't get to bed until about 11 o'clock last night. Obviously, we get up pretty early for the show, but the reason for that were the storms coming through, which produced a lot of wind across central Georgia. Now we're looking at a dry radar picture, but you can see, honestly, that was the thing last night. When you looked at the radar, they were not all that strong. There they are coming through, but it was that big gust of wind we had out ahead of it. The Macon airport gusted to 56 miles an hour, moved down to the south and fell apart. But more storms this morning down into the panhandle of Florida, but then also into the upstate of South Carolina. They cannot catch a break down to the south and west, excuse me. I tell you what, 69 in Macon, 70 in Warner Robins, 70 in Cochran, 68 in Eastman, and 69 in McRae. Today headed for a high temperature of 92. More afternoon showers and storms on the way, but it's going to feel like that 97 to 102 number as we head into the afternoon. They're going to be a scorcher here in central Georgia. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to talk about this drying trend we've got coming in the week ahead, but then also the big warm up we've got coming. So high temperatures, mid to upper 90s. Caitlin, it's going to feel even warmer than that, and that includes the weekend. We'll go through the details coming up.
All right, thank you, Alex. Power lines went down here in Macon thanks to those storms last night. Power lines were down at the intersection of Lamar Road and Zebulon Road here in this video. A tree was also blocking both sides of Lamar Road. Power lines also went down on Bass Road. A reminder, if you see power lines down, do not try to cross them. Thousands of people in central Georgia are still without power this morning because of the storms. In Macon, over 1,000 customers are without power. Nearly 500 customers are without power in Byron. And across the state, outages are still impacting people with over 23,000 customers without power in the Atlanta area. In Buckhead, storms are being blamed for at least one death so far. And as of 9:30 last night, phone lines for 911 in Monroe County are down. So if you have an emergency or non-emergency, you can call any of these numbers right here on your screen, 478-994-7693. The other last four digits of the number you can call 7694, 7695, and 7696. There are also several trees and lines down in that area as well. The time is now 6:33 in your other news this morning. Today, a family remembers a woman killed in a crash in Peach County. The State Department of Public Safety says Kaylin Shahi was in a car on Bible Camp Road in Peach County when the driver, Dylan Wood from Byron, lost control and it overturned several times. Wood had minor injuries and was arrested for driving under the influence. Shahi's grandfather, Brian Wise, says Kaylin had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. He says she was loving and cared for everyone and was also a business owner. And a Locust Grove man is dead after a crash in Houston County. Coroner James Williams says this happened just after midnight on Sunday. 26-year-old Christopher Bostwick was driving his motorcycle on 75 South when he lost control near mile marker 126 and crashed into a guardrail. Bostwick died at the scene. And this morning, a man is dead after a drowning in Milledgeville. Police say it happened at the Oconee Greenway around 12:30 yesterday afternoon. The man was swimming with a friend, started struggling and went under. Police closed the Riverwalk during the search, and officers recovered the man's body around 2:30. As of now, the Riverwalk is back open. And the Federal Aviation Administration investigating a plane crash in Warner Robins. Around 10 yesterday morning, a single-engine plane crashed by the Warner Robins Air Park off Highway 96 and landed in someone's backyard. Take a look at these photos. Right now, we don't know the condition of the pilot. We'll bring you updates as we learn more. In your state news this morning, we are hearing from Georgia leaders after a string of anti-Semitic acts over the weekend in Atlanta, Macon, and Warner Robins. Governor Brian Kemp and Attorney General Chris Carr both went to Twitter to condemn the actions. Governor Kemp wrote in part, quote, "There is no place for this hate and anti-Semitism in our state. We remain vigilant in the face of these disgusting acts of bigotry." Attorney General Chris Carr wrote in part, "Their intimidation tactics will not work and must be condemned. We stand with our Jewish friends and neighbors against these continued expressions of hate." A new community outreach program debuted over the weekend thanks to Project Avalanche. The goal is to address youth violence and gun violence in Macon. It was the first community outreach event for the group. The purpose was to show the city how talking about gun violence isn't enough. Pastor Stephanie Parker with Universal Church of Love wants the city to take action to stop more teens from dying. She says this is a movement and they want teens to have a chance at living a full life.
If we could unify, come out, wrap our arms together, not talk about it, but let's be about it. Let's be the difference, and then we can make a difference. Each one reach one.
Parker hopes the community can become more involved in keeping teens out of trouble. Well, we have featured a family-friendly hot dog shop in Pinona Avenue before. Doggy Dogs opened up a few months ago, and now it's closed for business after a fire. Antonio Walker opened in April and says he created the restaurant to give kids and families an affordable place to eat. He says earlier in the month he left his air fryers to heat up as he stepped out to get more ingredients for the day. He was only gone 20 minutes when he heard that the whole building caught fire. Walker says he was living in that building with his son, and they've lost everything.
Everything I had saved up burnt right then, so I'm like, I can't do nothing but trust in God now, because God knows, dang God, everything I worked for, it was burnt in there, but I believe God is bigger than any fire. Just because things don't go our way, God is faithful.
And that is true. There were also 2 other businesses who shared that building with Doggy Dogs that were affected. Walker says he does have a GoFundMe set up, and it's not over for Doggy Dogs. He says he plans to open up another restaurant, and we certainly hope he's able to.
Well, we're trying to spread the word how important pollinators are in protecting our ecosystem's biodiversity. And being a chapter of the Georgia Native Plant Society, it seemed like a perfect fit.
Yes, the chapter of the Georgia Native Plant Society celebrated Pollinator Week, and they got some new information about our ecosystem during BioBlitzes this weekend. People were out at Amerson River Park to count bees, butterflies, moths, and other pollinators. Pollinators are a key part of our ecosystem. They help plants develop fruit and spread seeds. The BioBlitzes were also an opportunity to get people exploring their environment.
I like to stop and try to identify plants, and when I found out that there are native plants and invasive plants, I decided that maybe this group could help me identify those and get to know more about the local area.
People used an app called iNaturalist to identify and contribute data about plants and pollinators. And this morning, several people in Central Georgia know a little bit more about living in tiny houses. The 29th annual Tiny House Festival made a stop in Madison over the weekend. Many say the minimalist lifestyle is cheaper.
It's a whole lot less cost, it's a whole lot less management. So I think you see a lot of people try tiny home to see if it's something they want to get into. And I'd say probably 50 to 60% of the people probably stay.
Now, tiny homes don't have to be just regular looking houses like you would see in a neighborhood. They could be van and bus conversions, schoolies, or homes on wheels. The United Tiny House Association organizes the festival and says tiny homes can cost less and still be comfortable. Kalinda Shaw came to Madison to learn more about what tiny homes can do for her lifestyle.
I think it's so cool, and so I do a lot of research on the different stuff they do, like utilizing things for multiple purposes. I just think it's all very creative and really cool.
It is fascinating how many things they can put into those tiny houses. Because the festival is a for-charity event, almost $800,000 was donated to over 100 different charities with money from the festival. 6:38 on your Monday morning. The Chick-fil-A on Zebulon Road in Macon will get a brand new look. The restaurant will be torn down and rebuilt to add a dual drive-through and expanded layout. The chain spent $750,000 on less than an acre of land at Sonny Carter Elementary from the Bibb School District back in December. Back then, Chick-fil-A said they would increase seating to 130 spots and expand the drive-through. County Planning and Zoning is set to take up the project at their meeting this afternoon. When it comes to reusing, food might not be the first thing you think of, but some companies are creatively reusing food and reducing waste in the process. Plus, a Central Georgia historical site now open for tours this summer. The details on what there is to learn and when you can visit Fort Hawkins coming up in just a few minutes. First, though, the time is 6:40 this morning, and we're replacing all the rain we saw last week with the heat this week.
We are, and it begins today here in Central Georgia with feels like temperatures potentially over that triple-digit mark. So yes, going to be a scorcher of an afternoon, to tell you the least. There's a live look over Dublin this morning. Looking at the sun coming up, it has officially risen now. Current temperatures, you got 69 in Macon, 70 in Warner Robins, 69 in McRae. That Dublin airport sensor has been on one the past couple of weeks. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It's still asleep this morning. 68 in Hancock County, and 69 in America. So the radar here in central Georgia is quiet, but the same cannot be said with our friends up to the north and to the east and down to the south and to the west. We're kind of bookended by storms this morning with lightning strikes moving into the Columbia area, but then also another round of storms down into southern Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. The people down there just cannot catch a break. It's been about 2 weeks now of just waves after waves after waves of storms, and severe storms at that. Now, we do have a severe storm risk today here in central Georgia, the threat of damaging winds, some large hail, and of course the heavy rainfall that comes along with it. So let's time it out on Future View. Going to warm up very quickly into the 90s here by that 12 p.m. hour. 86 in Eatonton, 87 in Milledgeville. It's going to be after that noon hour and really into the evening tonight where we get the shower and storm fired up. So that's 5 p.m. there, and it's going to take no time to move across central Georgia out of here by, say, the 8-9 o'clock hour. But as those storms come through, that is the risk of damaging winds and some large hail across central Georgia. Now, waking up dry tomorrow morning on into the afternoon hours. We will remain mostly dry, only about a 10% chance of rain. A cold front coming through central Georgia, and as it does so, it's going to dry our air out. It's not really going to make us much cooler, but the drier air is going to keep a cap on our feels-like temperatures for the day. There we go into Wednesday, on into Wednesday afternoon, again mostly dry across central Georgia. Now today, our feels-like temperatures not going to have a cap on them. See 98 in Macon, 101 down in Cordele. That's at 1 p.m. I think several spots could touch that triple-digit mark before we get that wave of rain through here, and then that will begin to get our feels-like temperatures back closer to our actual air temperatures. Now, quick check of the tropics this morning. Some good news. We're not expecting any development over the next 7 days. We had Cindy and Brett last week. Brett has just completely fallen apart. What's left of Cindy is what you see right about there. Basically, both of the areas of low pressure, a tropical cyclone is closed and circulating. Essentially, what happened is they opened up. And when that happens, the tropical cyclones no longer exist, and then they continue to weaken. But that happened thanks to some wind shear there in the Atlantic. So, going to warm into the 70s and 80s relatively quick. 81 by that 10 a.m. hour, 88 by 1 p.m. Here we go to today, 92 the high temperature. Feels like 97 to 102 afternoon showers and storms. Sunrise was at 6:29 this morning. There's the 7-day forecast. 95 for tomorrow, 96 on Wednesday. Believe it or not, July begins this weekend, and it's going to begin on a warm note, a 20% chance of rain on Saturday. But on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to be talking about those humidity values returning to what roughly we're going to see today. But that is going to drive up our feels-like temperatures even hotter. So, of course, we've got the Independence Day concert coming your way this weekend down in Warner Robins. We are going to be talking about a hot one at that. Feels like temperatures easily above that triple-digit mark, and that is going to last into next week as well. So ending June here on a hot note.